It allows you to do, within a single backup job, full farm backups, but also go out there and do granular restores. Okay? So you can take the files that are being created, and from the single process, a single resultant file, you can go out there and pull back high priority items as needed. Okay, if somebody loses something, it gets corrupted, whatever the case may be, they can tag that asset, and if Steve needs a board presentation and it got corrupt somehow, they can go back out, our admins can pull it up, deliver it to them very quickly. We don't have to completely restore across the whole farm. Now, another important thing is, especially getting to large organizations, the admin's overtaxed with a lot of just firefighting type of stuff. People, end users have a lot of requests coming in. Hey, I can't, the version's messed up, something got corrupt, can you help me? Our product allows the admin to give control back out to some of the end users out there. So if I'm the marketing administrator for my group, I can be given rights to recover for the people on the marketing team. Okay. That's a nice thing. It really reduces the workload of the admin, and it provides a lot of quick satisfaction and results to those endpoint administrators out there. Steve, anything else to add on that front?
Yeah, it's the human bottleneck, and I'll be talking about it, I think, a little bit later, but there's always a human intervention here that's needed, right, to restore anything. So when we talk about even some of the big guys, the Commvaults and the Apishers that I'm sure Andy's going to talk about as well, that tends to happen quite a bit, and we're going to get into where we fit in with those people. But there's a lot of times the majority of the reason that we fit in with them is because the network team is doing other things besides worrying about what Mr. Person XYZ over here needs out of SharePoint, and they're just not going to get to it in a timely manner. And so we're here not only from an end user perspective to give a marketing guy or to give a head of a department or to give anybody who needs the ability to recover anything to not have to ask anybody. They can go within SharePoint and use what's called self-service recovery to recover their own content. That's just taking away the other side of what Paul hasn't talked about yet, the recovery time objective, not the recovery point objective. Taking away the time that it takes to actually bring your content back. And getting rid of, our goal is to get rid of any human intervention that's needed to sort of break down the walls of humanity on asking somebody for content back.
Yeah, when you think about a recovery effort, in the event that something goes down, there's a couple of approaches. One historically has been, I'm going to rebuild my entire system if needed, I'm going to re-import all of my content, and then I'm going to make it live and available for people. Real world just doesn't work that way, particularly for high value content. Bottom line is, you may have to make available the small pieces of content very quickly. It might have your recovery plans for the rest of your organization on it, okay? And that has to be one of your first points of recovery. It might have a communication in the event of a disaster set of documentation. That has to be able to be brought up quickly. So there's certain content that at a granular level needs to be able to be restored, whether on the primary farm or an emergency backup that you've staged. Okay, so there's a lot of advantages to being able to get into this granular recovery mode.
Steve, I had a question.
Yes.
So I'm just kind of curious, in SharePoint, if I delete a document or a list or something like that, let's say a task or something, and I find out 3 weeks later, oh, I shouldn't have done that, I did something. Is there like a concept of recycle bin in SharePoint that I can go there? And typically, how long is that recycle bin last in SharePoint?
So there's always a recycle bin for site collections on down being deleted. Okay. At least in SharePoint 2010 with Service Pack 1, you can recover site collections as well as subsites and content. That's for 30 days. A lot of people actually will even wipe out the recycle bin just to save storage costs and maybe move it down to a few days, just because there's no point in having it really beyond, oops, I deleted it, let me just bring it back really quickly. Let me bring it back on day one. So this is more of, I've got backups obviously from a long period of time, and maybe the document in general just is not what I wanted it from 3 days ago, not the most recent deleted document that's in the recycle bin. And so you just have a bigger window when you can recover from.
The other good thing about that from a sales perspective is you're not introducing a new thought process to these people, right? Because that already does exist in SharePoint. It's deficient, it doesn't give them what they need, but adding this type of a feature isn't something that's, you know, outlandish or something that's not going to be received well, because they're already doing that, right? You already have power users and you already have people that are managing sites outside of the SharePoint admin and the SharePoint folks. So it's a much better tool than what they're doing now, and it gives them a lot more flexibility. So it's something that when you introduce it to them, though, they're going to say, oh yeah, that does make sense because we're already doing that to a degree. This just makes it a lot better and a lot more comprehensive.